Extra Innings Show. Verizon, the most reliable 5G in St. Louis.
Tough one today for the Cardinals as they end up losing to Boston by a 13-9 score. Welcome into the Extra Innings Show. This is going to be pretty quick today because we are going to be getting to the Redbird Rush Hour in just a couple moments. Kevin Wheeler will join me for that, or I'll join Kevin, however you want to put it. Either way, it's going to be me and Kevin coming up in just a couple minutes, so that's how we're going to spend most of the time. For those of you who are watching on the stream, you don't have to go anywhere. We're kind of combining the Extra Innings Show and the Redbird Rush Hour today. Extra Innings Show being presented by Graybar. Graybar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. This one's pretty simple. Nice offensive day for the Cardinals outside of the double plays. The double plays really got them pretty good as Wilson Contreras grounded into one of them, and then Ivan Herrera grounded into two. If you don't have as many double plays, maybe you actually score a few more runs, but you can't get mad at a team that just scored 9 runs on 13 hits. Pitching left a lot to be desired. Eric Fetty was not sharp, and then the bullpen did not do an especially good job either. So we'll certainly talk about that a lot during the Redbird Rush Hour coming up in just a moment or so. What's on Deck is sponsored by Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best. ChesterfieldFence.com. Game 2 of this series is coming up tomorrow afternoon. Andre Palante will go for the Cardinals. 3:10 first pitch, 2:15 for pregame coverage. That's it for the Extra Innings Show, but don't go anywhere. Kevin Wheeler's here in just a moment. It's the Redbird Rush Hour, and it begins in just a moment right here on KMOX.
Celebrating their 57th year in business.
44 just past Shrewsbury, an additional accident scene. Out west, 70 westbound at Lake St. Louis, the right shoulder is blocked. The vehicle off the roadway there. Look, that last check, there was a flatbed truck on the scene trying to get that one out of the way. Working with the crash also further out west, eastbound Highway 44 at the Pacific exit. Only the left lane is sneaking by there. It looks like about a 5-mile backup. And taking a look at all the rain-slowed roads this afternoon, the one that's out of the ordinary is 64 eastbound at Grand. Looks like you're coming to about a complete stop coming down that hill from Vandevetter, making your way towards eastbound 64 towards downtown St. Louis. We're sponsored this time around by SNL Coins. I'm Frank Ladd of the MichaelSportingOutlet.com Traffic Center.
SNL Coin. We buy gold and silver coins, silver and gold jewelry. Also buying gold-filled and silver plates. Before you sell, call SNL. 314-544-3600. 314-544-3600. SNL Coin.
You're listening to the Redbird Rush Hour on 1041 KMOX.
All right, guys, great to be with you on the Redbird Rush Hour on 1041 KMOX. Matt Pauley just wrapping up post-game coverage. Kevin Wheeler with you here from, if you're watching on the stream, from my home office, so you can see like books and stuff. But those belong to my wife, Matt. I don't have many of those.
I know you don't read.
Although you can't see it, but on that bookshelf right over there, it's kind of down at the bottom. There's a Guinness Book of World Records that I'm in.
Oh, what are you in it for?
The world's longest baseball game ever played.
Okay.
Yeah, that was we've been
innings
in it
or time?
Time. Yeah,
okay.
The first one was 36 hours, and I think the last one the guys did I couldn't do was something like 90 hours or something along those lines. Yeah, I did about 3 or 4 of them, and the guys total have done like 6 or 7. So just so you know, I'm in the Guinness Book of World Records.
There you go.
Just wanted to lay that out there as I'm coming from the home office today.
I'm in the Baseball Hall of Fame.
What's that?
I'm in the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Oh, how'd you do that?
They needed something of mine at one point, so I sent them the thing. There was a protest where they didn't play a game and they asked for my credential from it. So
nice.
But yeah, there you go.
All right, good times.
That's
baby.
my
good
claim
times.
to fame.
All right, so let's talk about, we don't need to redo the post-game show, so we don't have to go through everything that happened today, but I do want to talk about what it means moving forward. Like today, today's story is pitchers being bad.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's just that simple. When you go out against a good team, because Boston's good. I don't care what their record is. Boston's good. They're a playoff contender. They'll be, I think, at or near the top of that division in the American League East at the end of the year. When you go out and pick up 13 hits and score 9 runs and still lose by 4 runs, I mean, again, defense played a little bit into that, but this was mostly pitchers walking too many guys, giving up damage, making big mistakes in the zone. Eric Fetty had a couple early that he paid for. Matt's had one, I think. Fernandez only pitched 2/3 of an inning. He had 3 or 4. And then King had one. Roycroft did 2 in only 1/3 of an inning. These guys, there's a lot to work on here, but today's story, and I think a big story for the weekend and into next week, is what do they do? I mean, are we looking at maybe roster moves here in the next couple of days?
Yeah, well, so every pitcher that pitched today either gave up runs or inherited runs. So that's not good when everybody, you can make the argument that Steven Matz had the best day of any pitcher because he only gave up 2 runs in 3 innings. So that's kind of that's the state of pitching today.
Right.
I think we all knew that the bullpen would take a little bit of a step back from last year because last year they were historically good. What's yet to be determined is how much of a step back, because I still think this group is a group that's going to be pretty good when all is said and done. That being said, Kevin, a lot of the guys that I'm really excited about aren't in St. Louis right now. And not that I'm saying they should be, because there's still some things that have to happen, but I'm very excited about Gordon Graceffo in the bullpen. I think Roddery Munoz in the bullpen is going to be a really interesting thing. If Riley O'Brien ever puts it all together, he can be an impact guy. So I don't think the personality and the characters of this bullpen are fully set yet. I do think it's concerning what we're seeing with Ryan Fernandez. It doesn't,
more than concerning, man. He's getting lit. He's been out 3 times and he's been hit hard every time.
Yeah, it seems real. Like sometimes you just a guy's just sort of easing into the season and you see like the things that they have to work on and you feel okay that they're going to come to it. I'm legitimately concerned by Fernandez right now. And I don't know if the organization feels that way. I don't know if they feel like him getting down to AAA for a little while might be something. But I was surprised that they didn't make a move go up prior to the day game on Wednesday. At some point in time, you're going to have to bring in some help from the bullpen.
Look, I'm not going to question everything that the manager does. It's not the manager's fault when your pitchers walk 8 guys and give up, I don't know, how many hits did they have? 16 hits?
Yeah.
Like that's not the manager's fault. But I'm going to tell you, when I heard him on the postgame show, the audio you played saying Fernandez is, quote, working on some things, well, then don't put him in a 2-run game against Boston in the 7th inning. You're still in that game.
Very much.
And I know you're behind, but it's only 2 runs and you got 3 innings left. If the guy's working on something, he can't be in that spot.
And he made a move earlier that went along with you're back in that game, because you could have very easily brought Fedde back out for a 4th inning. He was at 65 pitches. He had looked a little bit better in his 2nd and 3rd. He only gave up 1 run in the 3rd inning. I wouldn't say that Fedde's sharp, but I love the move right there to go to Matz, because your bats just got you back in the game. The last thing you want is a starting pitcher who's not sharp, allowing Boston to get back in it. So like that was a move that I absolutely loved from Ollie. To your point, if he's going to play it that way, where you're really playing for the win and you're going for it, bringing in Fernandez after Matz when you're in the game is a questionable decision.
Yeah, Fernandez, for now, I would think he's got to be in low leverage. And 2-run game on the road in the 7th inning against a good team is not low leverage.
Especially when 9 million runs are scoring in that game.
Yeah, and I know it's not perfect, and you got to manage Kyle Leahy's workload too, but he's pitching better right now. Maybe that's a spot for Maton. Now, again, I understand you want to save some guys for when you're ahead, but what if you win by 8 tomorrow? What if you lose by 10 tomorrow? Like, I'm not sure that I want to hold back in a 2-run game. Now, again, it's early. They didn't lose because of those decisions.
Right.
Very clearly, that's the case. So more worried about process than result when we're talking about that. All right, we got a lot to do. We're going to be here till 6 o'clock. Of course, Matt's got Sports Open Line after that. We're going to be talking more about the lineup, which has been really good, and a couple different things around the catcher DH mix that might be fun to talk about as we go along here on the Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax relief advocate.
Pauley in studio. Kevin Wheeler. I am in my home office. So if you hear a dog bark, guys, I got 2 little dogs. They're sleeping right now, so I think we're going to be okay. They might chime in, though, because pitching was bad today.
Can they pitch?
Like that. Yeah, no, they can't throw. They can catch. They can chase
Cardinals
it down,
are okay at that.
They can't throw it, but they can chase it down. All right, we only have a few minutes here, but I think it's important to note one thing that is a good sign moving forward, and that is just the offense every day grinding.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know that, Ollie talks about the compete and all that. Yeah, that's great. I mean, I want major leaguers to compete no matter what. I'm talking as much about results as I am about approach. I mean, 10 or more hits in every game to start the year is not a joke. When you're out there and competing for 9 innings and not just competing, because like competing is one thing, but getting something out of it is another thing. And, I think that they've done a really nice job. It's not everybody, right? Contreras is struggling. It's nice to see Mason Wynn starting to get kind of back into the mix the last couple of days. But you do have guys up and down the order, but in particular, Lars Nootbaar, Burleson had a good day today. Herrera's been slugging. He's got 4 home runs in the last 2 games. This can be sustainable under 2 conditions. One, guys stay on the field, right? We don't have a lot of injuries. And 2, when some of the hot starters start to come down, because they will, you need the other guys to get up.
Yeah, 100%. Good to see Mason Wynn get another couple hits today. So maybe that is something for him moving forward. Wilson Contreras is still finding it. I take a little bit of issue with the ground ball double plays today. Those 3 double plays really, really, really hurt.
Sure.
That's something they didn't love. But I mean, 13 hits, the double-digit hits every single game. And to think that coming into the season, the thing we were most worried about was the offensive consistency. And again, it's only 7 games. I'm not, they're not going to be batting champions because of what they've done in 7 games, but it has been good. I think you mentioned it. And I think it's the most important part of this whole thing. They have to stay disciplined in their approach. Over a 162 game schedule, it's tough to grind. It's when it's August 1st and it's 100 degrees outside, man, it is tough to grind out those at bats and just stay locked in on an every single game basis. So we see this approach that they have right now. It's wonderful. The question is, can they keep it up the entire season?
Well, you don't know, but it's impressive to me that you're getting hits and you're scoring runs, and that's happening when your best hitter is doing nothing. I mean, Contreras is lost. He doesn't see anything that spins. If it's got a wrinkle on it, he's not even recognizing it. And then he's getting jammed up on fastballs inside because he's so conscious of the fact that he's swinging at the breaking ball away that then he takes the fastball in the inner half. So, look, he's a pro. We've got enough track record on him. I'm not going to be worried about him for the full season. But right now it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
And the only solution is to just keep plugging.
Yeah, you put him in the lineup every single day, and at some point it's going to click, and he's going to be Wilson Contreras again. And I have no doubt that he is going to have really good offensive numbers when this season comes to an end. Yep. You just don't know when it gets started. A question that I've kind of had is baseball is so funny. You know this, Kevin. He had a really good first game of the season, but had nothing to show for it. Had solid contact, good plate appearances. What if a couple hits fall in game number 1?
Never know.
It probably looks completely different right now, but he has the offer, and then it just all of a sudden morphs into where he's at right now, which is tough.
Yeah, not an easy position to be in. All right, we still have more to get to here on the Redbird Rush Hour. I want to talk a little bit more about the bullpen and really how it's going to look in close games and late. Because we know that Ryan Fernandez is struggling. Roycroft hasn't shown anything. You're very limited in your options in this regard. And then we'll talk later on about offense and maybe some decisions that'll have to be made as the season goes along. It's Matt Pauley, it's Kevin Wheeler, and of course this is the Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
And we're sponsored by Penn Mutual Life Insurance. Working with that crash still 44 eastbound at Pacific. Only the left lane is getting by. I'm Frank Ladd in the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
This is the Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX.
All right, picking it back up. Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you on the Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX. Again, your comments, opinions, thoughts, welcome. If you want to throw them into the chat, you can also text 314-436-7900. All of that is true, by the way, for Sports Open Line coming up after the top of the hour. All right, so we got some issues to solve with the bullpen, and I mean like solve short term, right? Not a month from now. And I'm not sure exactly how. You could call people up, but at this point, you're not calling up anybody that has had a chance to catch fire or that is definitively better than what you brought with you. But you know who your closer is. That's good, right? Ryan Helsley's going to finish games when you have a lead of 3 runs or less. We know who the top right-handed setup man is. It's Phil Maton, and thank God they brought him in.
Yep.
I mean, because, I remember, was it like a month ago? I was like, they don't need a veteran reliever. I'm like, oh, yeah, I was wrong. They definitely needed a veteran reliever, and it's a good thing they brought him in because he's good. We know that JoJo is fine from the left side there, and he can get righties. So your 7th and 8th belong to those two guys. And the other guy that's thrown it well so far is Kyle Leahy.
Mm-hmm.
And you almost have no choice but to start putting him in leverage right now.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you can trust anyone else in the bullpen in leverage at this moment.
No, and Bernie Miklasz has talked about this a bunch with us. He ran some of the numbers on Leahy for next year from last year. And yeah, Leahy did have kind of mop-up duty, long relief duty a lot.
Yeah.
But in those situations where it was a true close and late situation that Leahy had to pitch because the bullpen was stressed out, he's been really good in those situations. So I think Roycroft's going to be a guy that you're eventually going to be able to trust in those situations as well. He's got some things to work out, though, when it comes to some, handedness issues. But
that and some hanging breaking ball issues. I mean, he's facing a backup catcher today that has no big league time at all, and that guy hits a rocket 109 miles an hour off the wall against him.
And that, so basically,
right on right, yeah.
So that tells the story, because I think we mentioned those first 4 guys. If Chris Roycroft is the guy that right now, I'm taking Steven Matz out of this because Matz is kind of
he's your long guy,
right?
That's your that's your guy for 2, 3, 4 innings at a time.
He's the one guy in the bullpen that's not part of this conversation. If Roycroft for me is the guy that I'm like 5th most confident in after those 4 others, that says something about where the bullpen's at.
It does. And look, I don't think that, and again, we're not at a point of the year where your season's on the line, man. We're 7 games in. But how many winnable games so far? So you're 4-3. I count at least 3 games where if the bullpen was even decent, you've won 2 or 3 more games.
There's 3 losses and there's 3 games that you count. There's 2 extra innings and this one today. There is a plausible scenario where this team has not lost a game yet this season.
Yeah, and again, not realistic. I don't expect perfection, which is why I wouldn't say that you should have won all those 3. But you could have won 2 of those 3. Heck, even if it's just 1 more, it's the difference between 4-3 and 5-2.
Right.
Which is, again, not monumental, but every game when you add it up later in a division that figures to be close, if you want to be good, that's going to have to change. And look, I think John King is probably what he is. He's a guy that's more of a 5th or 6th inning guy. He's not a protect the lead kind of guy. And again, you're looking at Fernandez and Roycroft. Now you really need Fernandez. Like over the course of the year, you need him to be something like he was last year. But I guess the question that I would throw in there is, how long do you wait before you try something else? I don't know that I would wait very long. I think I'd be looking at it sooner rather than later.
Yeah, it also has something to do with how guys are doing at Memphis as well, because their season is just now getting underway and who's going to be available when you bring them up. And so is Ryan Fernandez the guy that you just send down? Is he the person that you say at this point that, go down to AAA and work on things?
Honestly,
Chris
no.
Roycroft?
The guy that would go to me, the guy that goes down is Roycroft. Yeah. Fernandez shifts into that low leverage, right? He's going to be a 5th, 6th inning guy. Maybe he pitches when you're down 3 or 4 runs, or up 3, 4, 5 runs, right? In those middle innings. But you shift him out of there. And I don't know who the answer is, though. This is the problem.
Right.
There is no great answer. You can't say, well, Riley O'Brien can do it, because we don't know if he can. And we've never seen Swanson, and Anderson didn't look good in the spring. And he's the guy that has the track record.
But he's not even on the 40-man.
Right. Well, yeah, but you can correct that. But the problem is he hasn't shown you anything yet that would make you say we need to create that
No.
spot to get him in. And he didn't look in the spring like a guy that would be an impact guy anyway.
And I also think you have to be careful whether it's O'Brien, whether it's Graceffo, whether it's Moon, like whoever. Insert name a pitcher here. You don't want them to be walking in and all of a sudden the first thing that they're doing is being in high leverage spots. Like if you want Riley O'Brien to turn into something, I want to give him the best opportunity to be successful from the beginning. And I think part of that is easing him in to the big league bullpen. And so I don't know what the answer. I do know that more often than not, if the Cardinals are winning late, they've got some really good options in the guys that we've already talked about in Helsley, Romero, Maton, and Leahy. If those four guys are able to handle most of the close and late up situations, that's going to fix a lot of things. So then maybe you do bring somebody up and you've got the opportunity to use them more in an opportunity where they can have success.
Yeah. I think some of the change that we've talked about, like I think I done a text line with you and me and our boss and Tom and all that. I said, I smell a move before Monday when the series starts in Pittsburgh. That's not about finding a leverage guy. That's just somebody that's not working too much. Because when you've already used this many guys in game one, unless Palante or Michaelis go 6 or 7 the next couple of days, I mean, you're going to be needing guys that can pitch.
And look, this is where Graceffo maybe plays into this because Matz was used today. He's not going to be available for 2-3 days. Plus, I believe there's rain in the forecast in Boston over the next 2 days.
Tomorrow it's supposed to be like 40s and rainy tomorrow and 50s on Sunday and maybe rainy. So
if you lose a starter because of a rain delay, man, your bullpen's already in trouble.
Sure hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Because again, a lot has gone well, not everything, but we've seen some outstanding defense. We've seen an offense produce mostly pretty good starting pitching until today. Fetty wasn't good today, but a lot of the starting pitching's been pretty good, but you're facing some big issues in the pen early. And again, teams around baseball are going to deal with this. It's just a matter of how you're going to make it work as the season goes along. All right, stick around. We got one more segment here on the Redbird Rush Hour. Sports Open Line is after the top of the hour news. We're going to talk about the first base, DH, catcher. Like, how does this all play out as the season goes along? What about now? Because now is what it is. Later in the year, though, are we talking about some different looks? We'll get into that next up on the Redbird Rush Hour here on the 104.1 KMOX.
So, you want to buy a house. You could go online, do your research, find the dream listing, go see it, and get catfished. Back to
Yeah, we've got we're going to actually Tom's got a conversation with Jamal Mayers, former Blue.
Cool.
We'll talk.
Cool.
We'll have that coming up on the program. We've got Jacob Sersasimo from Channel 4 coming up. We'll just talk a lot of Cardinals baseball though. It's going to be mostly Cardinals, a little bit of Blues for the 2 hours. For those of you who are watching on the video stream, we will have to pop over to a different video stream when we get that thing going. But yeah, Sports Open Line, full 2-hour program tonight, 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock.
Yeah, and who knows, man? Coming up here in a few minutes, the Blues might win their 12th straight game. I know they won't win it then; it'll start then. But got their 11th straight win against Pittsburgh. It's just insane.
Crazy.
It's an insane run. It's been a hell of a lot of fun to watch. All right, so finishing up on the Redbird Rush Hour, talking some ball. Let's talk longer-term lineup stuff. Again, not about order, not about who's playing and who's not, but more about. Well, let's be honest. A lot of this just centers on Ivan Herrera, right? I mean. Ivan Herrera last year was one of your better hitters. This year, he's right there amongst your 2 or 3 best guys. I'd say he and Nootbaar, the guys that have been the 2 best on a consistent basis so far. And that's not to knock Arenado, whatever, but those guys have the combination of getting on base and providing slug more so than everybody else. Although Arenado's been good, but those 2 guys are both fantastic. And Herrera does a nice job blocking pitches. He does a pretty good job receiving pitches and framing pitches. It's all great. But at some point, they're going to be running into difficulty with this throwing thing because every time a guy is on first base in a spot that matters, they're stealing.
Okay. So,
and in a lot of games, it won't matter, but it changes things. It changes how pitchers pitch. It changes their comfort level. It changes how you call pitches. Are you going to call more fastballs because you're worried about guys running? And is that going to have a damaging effect? It's fine most of the time. But later in the year, if you're a contending team, can you afford that?
If he keeps doing what he's doing offensively, there is a way to do that. And to put in context just how good he is offensively right now, 9th in the league in average. He's 3rd in the league in home runs. He's 2nd in the league in RBIs behind only Aaron Judge. Yeah. His slugging percentage is 2nd only behind Aaron Judge. I mean, it's only 7 games, but the numbers he's putting up are elite big time numbers. So if he even keeps up any version of that, yes, you can survive with him behind the plate no matter what.
To be clear, I don't want him coming out of the lineup under any circumstances.
But
he has to be in there unless his bat quiet. He has to be in there.
My point is the offense is going to make up for any loss of defense. That being said,
does that have to be the choice?
There's the question. And I think at some point in time, a Jimmy Crooks is probably going to get up here due to injury or whatever other reason. If you feel comfortable with him at the big league level, then all of a sudden maybe you do look at Herrera as being somebody who's going to DH a lot more, and you bring up somebody else who can catch along with Pedro Pajes. I don't think they're to that point now.
No. We're talking later in the year.
Yeah, much later in the. I think this is a June, July, August type of conversation, probably July, August type of conversation. Crooks probably has to get that opportunity just organically, and he's
got to play well too.
Right, he's got to do his job at Memphis. So at some point in time, that's probably a conversation, because the last thing you want is to lose a game in the playoffs because a pitcher issues a leadoff walk, and then all of a sudden they steal second base and they're on at second with nobody out because you couldn't throw them out, and then a couple ground balls later and you've lost a playoff game. Like, that's the last thing you want to have happen, and that's the type of scenario you see play out a lot right now.
And I guess the reason I'm bringing it up is, again, this is probably more of a trade deadline issue than anything else. You're going to have to clear more room.
Yeah,
you still have too many guys, and I think it's going. And I don't think the throwing is going to magically get better. The knees thing is not going to magically change it. I hope it changes it some way. I hope he gets better, and he can. But I don't think it's a magic bullet. I don't think we're going to see a gigantic difference in a very short amount of time, maybe over a length of time, which is why you got to let it play out. You got to give it a chance. You got to let it happen. But you just have too many bats for too few spots, like down the road, right?
Right.
So if we're looking at Herrera and thinking, might need to be a DH, well, you're going to have to move some people, at least a couple, because Weatherholt's going to be here soon, pushing his way into that lineup too. And you're just not going to have the ability to keep all of these guys. And then this is all kind of still going back to the Arenado thing, right? If you had moved him, these questions are all a lot easier, but it could be fascinating in July. Even if you are good, you might be able to use some of those assets to go get a bullpen arm.
Yeah, right now,
a controllable bullpen arm. I'm actually fascinated by how this could be a good thing for the team later.
I would agree. And right now the roster just doesn't completely fit all together. And I think there are some moves that can be made to help that, where you can get rid of good players and actually get better because of it.
Yeah, that's kind of my point. Like,
Yeah.
there's nobody that's in the regular mix that I think needs to be out of it, right? I mean, like, I don't want Alec Burleson to go anywhere, but he's a guy that's good and he's got value. And whether that's, we don't know who we're talking about when we get to that point. But I know who we're not talking about trading, and that's a guy like Herrera, who's a young, right-handed power bat who's looking pretty good. So, again, I think it's going to be something to monitor. This is not a today issue. This is going to be something for down the road. All right, guys, stick around. Sports Open Line coming up next. This has been the Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX.
If you are not yet a member of Book Chat with Debbie Monterey and St. Louis Public Library on Facebook, join us today. We just did our monthly author interview, and you can still catch